Today on the Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club, we're back and we're talking about, finally, our Astro Bot review and also reacting to the Sony State of Play that happened this past week. Plus, if you stay till the end, we have a special announcement for you. So make sure you listen all the way on the Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club. Cue the intro. Nice. Welcome to Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club, the podcast where we give our reviews, previews, and impressions on the games you should be playing in your 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. As always, my name is Samson, aka Samson XP Online, and I am joined by my duteous co-host, as always, Sir Dr. JM.
Thank you. I just would like to say I'm going to pull back the curtain here, give everyone a peek behind the curtain. And reveal that it always makes me laugh when you say, cue the intro, because you are telling yourself to cue the intro.
You're right. There is no production behind these. This is not even a real green screen. This is the software from Elgato. Pull back the curtains. You know?
That's right.
Yeah, only Jordan's got the real intro. But Jordan, how are you? Intro, background. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am one platinum trophy more than I was previously, as we'll talk about. So that means it's been a great week, obviously. And riding high off some of the news that we'll talk about too.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, why don't we dive into it once again? This episode, we give our reviews, previews, and impressions. This week, it's a review episode because we're finally finished. Well, by we, I mean I finally finished Astro Bot, the new game on the PlayStation 5 that came out September 4th? Like Friday, September 7th? Like early September. And I finally got around to finishing it in between all of life's duties, such as going to work and not going to work, as I do. So I finally finished Astro Bot, and I'm excited to finally give my reviews and impressions. But Jordan, you said that you got your platinum trophy. What does that mean?
Oh, what does that mean? Oh my gosh. Well, if you're new to gaming around here, then you will have missed out on the wonder that is achievements and trophies. Now, of course, back in the Xbox 360 generation, the Microsoft Xbox 360 introduced trophies, which are a system level award system. So basically think about, you're playing a game, you do something special, and you get awarded with an achievement. But of course, that is tied to your online profile, and all your friends can see it, and all your friends can view your achievements, etc. And PlayStation followed suit, I think a couple of years later. They were a little late to the party by introducing the exact same system. However, it's called trophies instead of achievements. So many games have adopted it since. Steam has achievements now. World of Warcraft has its own achievement system built in and all sorts of things like that. But of course, the Platinum Trophy is the trophy you get for collecting all other trophies in a single game on PlayStation's platform. So
very nice. And speaking of games on PlayStation, what was the game that you got the Platinum Trophy on?
I wonder what I've been playing for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So it was, of course, Astro Bot. I had a great time. I want to say blasting through that game. I do feel like I played it at a good pace, even though, obviously a week out, days out from the game's release, there were people getting this platinum. But as you mentioned at the top of the show, we play games at our own pace here. And I took my time. I went at a good pace that was, I had plenty of time to play, and I was happy to play. It wasn't like I was forcing myself to play. It wasn't like I wanted to be playing something else and I was playing this just to get through it. This was really a game that when I wasn't playing it, I was wanting to play it. And when I was playing it, I was just itching for more. So,
yeah, 100%. I really, really resonate with that because a lot of the times, I'll use Paper Mario as an example. Paper Mario and a 1,000-Year Door. That's a long game. I don't remember it being this long as a kid. I'm still playing through it. But I was talking with my fiance, like I really have to pace myself with this because if I keep going, I get tired and burnt out. And that's kind of where I'm at with that game. But for Astro Bot, I did the same thing. So my past couple weeks has been, tonight I'm playing Astro Bot, clear a world or a couple levels. And then next night I'm playing Paper Mario, clear a couple world or a couple levels, and I alternated, and that really helped me not get burnt out on the game.
Mhm.
And both games, well, we're talking about Astro Bot here, like that game is so good at like giving you nice checkpoints to end on, which
totally.
is something I'm realizing I really like in games now. Instead of being sucked into a world, you're like, oh, this is a natural end that you can stop at. Before we get too deep into our impressions of Astro Bot, maybe we can give our scores. So, Jordan, what would you give Astro Bot out of 10?
I mean, I definitely kind of waffled between a 9.5 and a 10. I know I had mentioned, I think on the first episode after Astro Bot released, I had mentioned that it was, pretty much guaranteed to be a 10. And I kind of held back from labeling it as that until I think I really beat the game. And the big reason behind that was I was kind of early on, I was waiting to see, you can tell pretty early on that it's special and it's got a lot of really fun mechanics, really fun gameplay, and kind of lots to do. But I was kind of waiting to see sort of and this seems like an odd thing to say when applied to a game like Astro Bot, but sort of a through line, sort of a more than the game just being, here's a fun character and a bunch of levels. And I think by the end of this game, when you beat the, final boss, final world and everything, it's very clear that they have that. They really put a lot of thought and effort into what is the vision, and here's what it looks like from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. It is a very cohesive vision, I think is the right word for it.
Yeah.
There's consistent theming throughout. They aren't trying to say anything new or different, but because just that direction is so strong, I think that favors it so well. I think for me, I would give Astro Bot a solid, oh boy. I really want to give it a 10 out of 10, but I know there's like one little thing that irked me just ever so slightly.
Okay.
So I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. It is so close to perfect. And honestly, I think it would be a 10 out of 10 if it just had this one thing. Yeah, so I beat the game 2 nights ago, had some time to sit and think about it. And the way I played the game, I think, was different than the way you might have played it, Jordan.
Sure.
I actually played it with my fiance watching. She's a gamer. She enjoys it. I think she's just on a gaming sabbatical right now. So she enjoyed watching, and it was fun watching her react to like, oh, so-and-so is in the game. I don't know if we want to do spoilers on certain bots and stuff, but let's pick an obvious one. Kratos is in the game.
Yeah.
And then that was really cute. And just seeing them as like a cute version, a toy version of themselves was really fun. And then all the levels that were themed after those characters as well, also really fun and cute. So we really enjoyed that pretty much all the way to the end. Playing this game made me realize how much of a PlayStation gamer I was growing up. Like seeing all the references and characters. There was one game from the PSP. I'm not going to mention it because of spoilers. Maybe we'll do a spoiler cast one day about that I like immediately recognized, and I was jumping out of my seat for, because I could not believe that they put that much of an honor into this weird game I played with my brothers as a kid that we played because it was the one appropriate game for our PSP for my brother, who was like 4 years old at the time. So that I was so surprised that they honored that. Yeah, what could it be? So I really loved that. I was popping off my seat, and then throughout the game I was like telling her like, oh, that's this from this, oh, that's this from this. The last bit of the game was like I'm trying to say without giving spoilers. It was the climax of the game, right? And that, just seeing all that come together, like the cohesive vision come together at the end, and realized, I was like, wow, this is like really special.
Yeah.
Now the 1.5 I would take off of it is
the water didn't look good enough, hey?
Yeah, not enough. The spikes on my controller didn't feel spiky.
Oh yeah.
I think it was just like, and honestly, it's probably more me than the game, but for some reason, I found some parts of the platforming a little unclear. I don't
Okay.
know if it's just because I haven't played a 3D platformer in a long time, but I feel like sometimes the hit registration of your punches or
Mm,
the way that you land on a platform, sometimes Astro will grab it and hoist himself up. Sometimes he
right.
just slips off and falls.
Yeah.
I feel like I was cheated by the mechanics a lot, and that's like a really big nitpick because I'm just used to the whole time I played this. I'm like, oh, this is Mario Odyssey,
Hmm.
but um, but Astro Bot and Mario Odyssey is super tight, and this one I felt cheated by the game a couple times,
Right.
like just weird animations, weird hitboxes. That's my irk with it, but
Hmm.
it never like stopped me from playing the game because when you die, you just come back. There's no lives, there's no game overs. You
Right.
just come back from like 10 seconds ago and you try again.
Hmm.
And I managed to get a hang of it, managed to get around it. It's just this little quirk kept coming up over and over again.
Hmm.
And I thought it was weird. But I don't know. Did you ever feel that, Jordan?
I mean, it's funny because now that you say that, like the one thing that really hit with me that you just said was the grabbing of the ledges. I definitely
Mm-hmm.
did notice that. You know, sometimes you're jumping whatever platform to platform, and if you are just a little off on the jump and you come a little short, sometimes your little astrobot will grab onto the ledge and pull himself up, and he does this whole little animation of kind of climbing up. And then other
Mm-hmm.
times, yeah, you just kind of hit the edge and fall. And you know, in some cases you die. Sometimes you fall to whatever another area, and you just keep going, kind of thing. It's funny that you say that because I definitely noticed that as well. Um, and I think when I really think about it, and you know, why didn't it really bother me? I'd probably say it was largely because it was just easy enough to I don't want to say make up for, but I think, you know, when anything happens in the game or anything goes wrong, it gets you back into the action so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, coming back to the genre, right? It's a pretty, you know, straightforward platforming game. So it's not like it's, you know, sending you back in the level, you know, 20 minutes or something like that. Most checkpoints are, you know, if you could speedrun most of these levels in a couple of minutes. So most of the checkpoints are, you know, 10 to 20 to 30 seconds apart if you're just going straight, you know, golden pathing it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it comes down to I just, you know, it didn't really rub me the wrong way because it just gets you back in there so quickly. And, you know, after most first tries, I knew what I was doing if I had died. But I definitely did see a little bit of that. So I get what you're saying. Something that was interesting for me is as I was playing the game, of course, you know, I spend my evenings playing it and, you know, sometime on the weekends and things like that. I also, once I got through a few levels, you know, after the night it came out, the next evening, before my daughter went to bed, I started playing with her. And of course, you can have different save slots. So I started a fresh game with her. Now, I actually have created her own PlayStation Network account so that she can earn her own trophies so that one day she'll look back and look at all these trophies she got when she was a child and
It is
didn't even
achievement.
understand them.
Yeah, I did.
So, anyways, she's actually playing on that entirely. But the point is, um, those first couple nights, I played through a handful of levels. Then the next day, or you know, next 2 days later, whatever, I would play through them with her. Eventually, we did get caught up, and then eventually, I got just way ahead, right? But it was interesting because I was kind of seeing the game in a little bit of a different light almost immediately after, or you know, the next night after I had experienced it. And of course, I've been, you know, gaming for a long time. And it was very interesting to see the areas where my daughter's 6 and where a child, I don't want to say struggles because I wouldn't say that she was often struggling, but where the signposting in the game wasn't as clear to someone who isn't as experienced as I am. Like I'm playing this game and, you know, I'd say 99% of the time, I can identify the immediate path that I'm supposed to go on. And as you get further into the game, you know, there are levels and there are sort of off the beaten path areas where you can go get a collectible or whatever. And I caught on to the patterns that show you, okay, that's the golden path. That's a little smaller area that I can go explore that, get whatever's over there, and immediately get back to the main path. And there were times where she would kind of look at me and go, which way do I go from here? So she could tell there were different paths, but she couldn't tell which was the main path. Now, does it need to be more clear that that's the main path? No, I don't think so. I think that is kind of some of the fun of the exploration and everything. To her, maybe she goes through the main path and then she sees at the end of the level, oh, I only collected 4 or 5 out of 7 of the bots in the level, well, there must be other areas. And then, she can replay it, go back and collect those. But I did see kind of that, it was that, gap in the amount of gaming or the gaming experience that we had that showed that. And then also the areas where, I can hop across a gap, and she, just the way she controls it is a lot less fluid. She doesn't quite understand a lot of the time the momentum that you gain from taking a run and then jump and then jump and then you're across. She will walk up, stop at the ledge, get as close to the ledge as possible, then hop and hop again, like do the laser boot thing to try and get across. And it really was interesting to see kind of the difference in that pace and understanding of the gameplay. So by all means, I do think it's a good game for kids. But looking at how she did with it, and we haven't beaten it on her file or anything, but looking at that, it does kind of make you think a little bit differently about the experience. And I'm thinking, man, if I had played this when I was 6, I'm sure I wouldn't have been any better. This game would have lasted me, as is. I platinumed the game, so I 100%ed it. I didn't check how many hours I put in, but it's probably a good 12 to 15 to get everything. If I'd been a child, it would be way more than that. Because, a level takes me 10 to 15 minutes. A level takes her sometimes 30 minutes to get through, just between exploring, between dying, between finding paths, between going back to collect new bots and things like that. So anyways, I got a little off track there, but I get what you're saying in some ways.
Is this her first platformer? Like, has she played Mario or
no,
anything similar?
it's definitely not. I know I talked about in one of our earliest episodes, I have the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection on Switch. So it's Mario 64, it's Mario Sunshine, and it's Mario Galaxy, the first one. And we had, just over the past, I don't know, few months or something like that, at some point we started Mario 64 and we just started playing through it and exploring it. And that was the first time I had played it. So it was kind of, the first time I had really played it. And so that was kind of an education in, platforming and that era of gaming to me. But she has also played Sunshine. She has also played Galaxy. And with that series, the interesting thing that I've found in watching her play is those games did actually get a lot more friendly to someone who's a new gamer. But in a very similar way, Galaxy has that kind of, anyone can do this. Anyone can jump, make it across the gap. But there's lots of these other things for you to do that kind of elevate it and are still fun if you're, a more experienced gamer. So,
okay.
Yeah.
No, that one thought that came up when you were sharing that story, with the game sense, I think we have as older gamers, like there's a lot of parts in the game where I'm jumping around, I'm making through the level, and then like my spidey sense or my Samson sense comes up, and it's like, hey, I haven't found a bot in a while. Let me spin the camera a couple times. Let me check behind this bush, around this tree, see if there's anything. I like the little audio cues you get of the bots screaming and yelling.
Yeah,
too.
You hear them yelling at you, or you if you leave it idle, you hear your main bot start calling out to the other bots.
Yeah, that's so cute.
So cute.
Yeah. So like that kind of gamer sense, I also feel was weirdly activated in this game compared to other games I've played in a long time. Just knowing there's something out there that I need to grab and explore, and that was really fun. 6 is pretty young for a platformer like this though, so I'm sure she'll get her, maybe she'll grow up one day and be like, oh, I remember this was like a hard game as a kid, and plays adults, it's like, oh, this is whatever.
And I mean, that's the funny thing. Like I say, when I think about what if I had been playing it at that age, I'm sure it would have been similar. But the other thing I think about is when I was that age, I was playing the original Crash Bandicoot. I was playing Spyro 2 at, my babysitter and, best friend's house. And I remember playing those games and falling in love with them, but also really struggling with them. And now I know those games like the back of my hand because I've replayed them so many times. And I do, have this little part of me that is like, man, one day she's going to look back and she's going to play these games in her teen years and be like, holy cow, this game is still great. This game holds up. Just like I look back on Crash and Spyro. And, like the big thing that I remember in Spyro was, again, my friend and babysitter, he had the PS1, PlayStation 1. He had the Spyro games. He played them all the time. So he knew how to play. He would, I mean, just as a general rule, when you're walking around a Spyro, you hold down square to charge. So you're running. It's your run button. And because I wasn't as experienced with the game, I found it so hard to control running. So I would just walk around, and it was just this. It was just this lazy old pace. And like, you're trying to jump across a big gap, and yeah, Spyro is a little dragon. He has little wings. He can glide. But if you don't run before that jump, you will not make it as far. And I just would struggle with these things until I eventually got my own PS1. And then I got more comfortable with the game and understood that, yeah, you hold down square. That should be your default, is running. Mm-hmm. And so then I got more experienced and kind of built up that sense. And it honestly becomes a lot more enjoyable. But I remember that so fondly, like even before I knew how to play the game like that, just enjoying it still, but also being bad at it. Essentially, I was just terrible. But so,
yeah,
fun stuff.
Well, staying in theme of grow up, level up, as we talk about how this game compares to our growing up. But to be fair, I feel like that's praise for Astro Bot, because we are comparing this game that evokes such like a childhood wonder for us, and we can see it in the next generation. Oh, this will be our Spyro. For me, it was Mario Sunshine, or what was the one, or Galaxy as well. Like this is that game that will be that for the next generation, even removed from all the PlayStation history stuff that they put into there. Like I feel like through Astro Bot, through the IPs or I guess through the IPs being reinterpreted as little Astrobots, I feel like it can stand on its own. Oh, totally. And the IP crossover stuff is just extra treats for people who remember it, because there were some that like I didn't know, and my fiance, she like Googled it as we found them, and it was like, oh, this is so and so from Redstone. I'm making up a game. Redstone Superheroes. Yeah. Power Stone's a real thing, though.
I know.
But I'm like, I have never heard of this game in my life. Like this is some obscure Japanese game, but it matters to somebody, and that kind of makes it cool, and it's a big enough deal that it is in the game. So looking forward to more Astro Bot in the future. It's hard to talk about this game without spoilers, because we just want to splurge about it. Maybe for about 5 minutes we can do a spoiler section.
Sure.
And then if you're watching on video and you see me and Jordan go like this, like we're waving our hands in the air, that means we're exiting our spoiler section. So we're gonna give myself about 5 minutes. And if you're listening on audio, skip ahead 5 minutes, okay? Or I'll put it in the time code below. How about that? All right, 5 minutes starting in 3, 2, 1. You are now in the spoiler zone.
The spoiler zone. All right.
The spoiler zone.
I want to hear who you really popped for in terms of the Astro Bots.
All right. I mentioned it in the review. This IP that was appropriate for my 4-year-old little brother that my parents thought, all right, we'll buy this game for our siblings, and that's Loco Roco.
Oh, I should have known. Loco Roco and Patapon both were big surprises to me.
Oh yeah. Patapon, not too much of a surprise. I knew it was going to be in there.
I didn't.
But then it was like, but then Loco Roco, it was the fact that they did the world after you beat a boss, right?
That was really cool.
That I really liked. And hearing the music again, I was like, oh, I immediately hear it. And my fiance was just like, what is this weird game?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Like, are you tilting the controller? And it's like, is that children screaming and cheering? It's like, what? Like, oh, you don't understand. This. I played through all of them, I think, or at least 1 and 2, and it's like, this is awesome. And
it's so funny how well it translates to the motion controls too, because I was on PSP and you were using L and R to tilt the screen. Like you weren't actually,
nope.
PSP didn't have tilt controls. So
you were just hitting those triggers, and then you tap them both to jump. And I forget what button it was, but there's one button to break them apart and suck them in. And looking back, that was it. That was auto mechanics, and they made a whole 2 games out of that, maybe more. Yeah, makes me want to go back and download it on PS5 or whatever, but I won't have time for that.
Fair enough.
What did you really pop for?
There were a few characters that I really popped for, and the whole time I'm playing, I have one of my best friends who's out in Montreal, and we talk about games all the time and everything. And there were 3 that I came across really early on that I made a mental note to be like, oh, I gotta message him about it once he's beaten it, to talk about how we popped for these. For whatever reason, I can't remember one of them. There was one that I was really excited for, and now I just can't remember it. But Two that I do remember. Number one, Katamari. I am a big Katamari fan. I absolutely lost my mind when the prince showed up. That's he's the prince.
The guy with the ball,
yeah. And then when you bring him back to your little crash site, he's chilling there with a big ball, and you give him a smack, and he rolls you up in the ball, and you just kind of get squished in it, and then you get rolled around and everything. I lost my mind. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
Another one that I went bonkers for is a little game that I only rented once, and I rented it from Blockbuster, and I'll tell you exactly why I rented it. And it's a little game called Mr. Mosquito. A very, I want to say like an obscure but not obscure game, because I feel like more people know about it or have heard of it than should. But I am very curious how many people actually played it, because I don't think that many people actually played it. And I just remember going to Blockbuster, every Friday, Saturday night to rent a movie. And I would always check out the game section and sometimes get one if my parents let me. And I remember picking up this box, looking at the game, and being intrigued because there was a woman in a bathtub on the back. And, it was water up to her chest, and you could only see, chest up. The rest was submerged, not clear water. You couldn't see anything. And then one time I brought it up jokingly with, again, my friend who's now in Montreal. One time I was having a sleepover with him on the weekend. His parents took us to Blockbuster, and I picked it up and I showed it to him. Oddly enough, he's actually gay, but I showed it to him because of that. And
that's what made him.
me just realizing now, but I showed it to him and was like, I've always wondered what this game is. And he was like, you want to rent it? I was like, sure. So we rented it. Controls were absolutely bonkers. Could not make heads or tails of it. I think we played it for maybe 45 minutes and then gave up on it. But the fact that you get a little bot that is a mosquito, I lost my mind at that. Then you get back to the crash site and you're walking around looking at your bots, and you don't see Mr. Mosquito. I guess I should mention, in the game you play as the mosquito. But what you do find is a bathtub sitting at your crash site. And if you hop in that bathtub, your little Astro Bot chills out in the bathtub. And then next thing you know, you hear a little buzz, and there's a little mosquito spinning around you. And I went crazy because I could not believe that
obscure.
Not only did they get Mr. Mosquito and put it in the game, but the way they implemented it and brought him back to your crash site as well. Like, I saw this bathtub and was like, why on earth is there a bathtub here? Mm-hmm. And I did not put it together, but you hop in that thing and then Mr. Mosquito appears. Oh my God. I was ecstatic at that.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah. That's like something that you think of Nintendo pulling off.
Oh, totally.
But definitely, like, with PlayStation's heritage and all that, now that totally makes sense. That's hilarious. Yeah. I need to. I think I remember finding a mosquito, but I don't know if it was Mr.
Yeah,
Mosquito.
and like, he kind of looks like a little fly or something. Like, you might not have known what he was if you didn't know what he was from, right?
Maybe I got him. I gotta recheck it out.
Yeah, look for the bathtub at your crash site, and you'll find it.
All right, sounds good.
Sorry, go ahead.
One more thing about the spoiler. We're still in spoiler zone.
Yeah,
but
I want to ask a question before we get out of it.
Oh, sure. Why don't you ask your question, and then maybe my thing.
Okay. I was just gonna ask, was there anyone that you wanted to see that you didn't see?
Ah, man, that's a great question. Can't think of any off the top of my head, because now I'm like also thinking, what did I only play on PlayStation?
Oh, sure.
That I kind of remember.
Well, and there were some crossovers. The Street Fighter guys were fun to see. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and Spyro and Crash as well.
Yeah, I forget they're not PlayStation.
Yeah, one I kind of popped off for was the rounder, smaller PS1. That I honestly like that PS1 because growing up, like, all the older kids from church and school, they all had the big, blocky, chunky PS1, the gray one. I think the original model.
Yeah.
And then by the time my family got around to getting us a PS1, I guess they only sold the round, smaller ones, or might be a gift or something from a family member in Asia. So I was like, oh, this is a weird PS1, but it works, and I'll play it, and we played it. But I never saw anybody else have it, so I don't know if it was a rare thing, or we just weren't in that group. I think by the time we got it, the PS1 wasn't even the PlayStation anymore. It was the PS2.
Right.
So maybe everybody moved on, so I never noticed. So when that showed up, I was like, oh snap! Like
That's
this is a
funny.
real thing. This is not a
Yeah.
weird memory I had.
No,
Like,
that's
for some
the
reason, I
same
just
one
never
I
thought of
had.
Yeah.
I mean,
Interesting.
I still have. I'm just trying to think.
That's
It's
great.
down here somewhere. But
Yeah, I gotta haul all my retro game stuff over. What about you? Is there one that you wished you saw and you didn't see?
yeah, the one character that I was really waiting for, that I was again, early on, got a few and was like, oh man, I gotta make a mental note to message my friend about these. When I was thinking about that, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to, and I mean, I've talked about it on the show a couple times, but I can't wait to see Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yes.
And there was no Sora from Kingdom Hearts. There were no Final Fantasy characters.
Yeah.
And
weird.
a few places have talked about this, in their general Astro Bot discussions. Really surprising that was the case, especially because in Astro's Playroom, the game that was baked into the PlayStation 5, same kind of thing. Or sorry, not same kind of thing. The opposite. There were Final Fantasy characters. I think you got Cloud and Sephiroth.
Yes, that does sound familiar.
Don't remember if you got any others, but I was waiting for some Square Enix or Squaresoft representation, and there was none. So kind of a glaring omission, if you will, and one that I have to assume we'll see someday, because I think PlayStation does have a good relationship with Square. We know that from the exclusive, partnership deals and games coming out exclusively on PlayStation from Square. So yeah, I think there's got to be something cooking with those characters. Maybe Kingdom Hearts 4. Maybe we'll get an Astro Bot tie-in. But
yeah,
anyways.
they know it is one of the pillars. So
Absolutely.
Either they're saving it for something big.
Yeah.
Maybe there was some IP stuff in the background, but it's kind of like a not if but when, but also like totally. A if a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sora. I think Sora is technically a Disney-owned IP.
Yes, you're right.
Character, so that kind of makes sense. Like they're a little more
true, because
is a little more stingy on that. Took a while for him to get him in Smash.
Yeah,
and that was a miracle. Yeah,
and now that you say that as well, like there was no Spider-Man, which obviously is Marvel Disney,
true.
right?
Yeah,
so, and I'm not surprised not to see Spider-Man because of the Marvel side of things, right? Mm-hmm. That one didn't surprise me too much, although. How cute would it be to see an Astro Bot Spider-Man and Venom, and that would be awesome. Miles,
Mary Jane,
yeah,
sure. That's a good one. One more quick thing about spoilers, and then we'll do our crazy wave. The ending. I was a little surprised. The ending just kind of like, oh, you beat him. Build little Astro back.
Yeah,
and that's it. I was really, for some reason, expecting like he gets sucked in, and then there's the bonus 5th/6th world, and it's you getting out of the black hole back to the ship.
Okay,
and that's how he ends up. And then that whole post cutscene,
right?
Like, and those last, I don't know, maybe even one level is like the hardest level, and it's just an obstacle course. Or like a normal level, but it's you like making your way back out. I was surprised it wasn't like that. I was surprised it ended on a boss fight, to be honest.
Fair enough. I like that idea, actually. That kind of comes back to the whole through line of everything. I really liked how they ended it. When he got, you'd beat the final boss, he gets sucked into the black hole and everything. When that happened, I actually thought the game was going to end there. And it was going to be like Astro will return in. And then it was going to be like a big teaser that, either DLC or a few years from now, we're going to get another. And maybe it would start there with you kind of escaping whatever. But then, the way he just kind of pops back out. And I actually liked the whole idea of, you reassemble him and whatever. I thought that was neat. Did you do the final challenge thing after that?
No, so that's on my to-do is to go back, get all the bots and do all the challenge levels, but I will check that out. But feel free to talk about it.
I was just going to say, if you get all the puzzle pieces, you will unlock a final challenge level. So,
ooh, okay, yeah. Okay.
That's all I'll say. I won't say too much or any more about it, but
okay.
Yeah,
so the true ending I still have yet to get.
The true ending. You go back to the crash site and you can see all those plots where the puzzle pieces are going. Yeah. So it's very clear that you're going to get something with that final one. But once you collect all the puzzle pieces, it will unlock the final. So
yeah, I mean, my other theory was like Astro gets sucked in, and then you have to collect all 300 bots to go rescue him, right?
Yeah.
Bring it all.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot. That they definitely could have done something.
Let me know. I know how to stretch out the levels. Yeah. Don't know anything about level design though, so that's on you guys. All right, let's bring the crew back in. Thank you for
Do
coming
the
with
dance.
us. YouTube videos you're in, and if you are joining us from the audio side, I hope that my time code worked well and you are back and listening to my voice again. I'm going to give everybody like 2 seconds to come back in, but let's talk about our next topic of the show.
Which ties nicely into Astro Bot, actually.
True, as it's our first announcement. Anyways, welcome to the part of the show where we're going to talk about the past state of play this week, which happened on Tuesday, September 24th, just yesterday. Wow, as of recording.
Yes.
But on Tuesday, September 24th, Sony, who owns PlayStation, hosted one of their infamous state of plays where I heard someone say, like, this is just marketing back to back. Yeah, but it's fun. It's like sports for nerds, you know? You just want to see what's coming up next.
I mean, it's funny saying that because, like, yeah. What's your point? Like, yes, it's marketing, but so is a Nintendo Direct, so is a whatever the other. There's state of play, and then there's PlayStation showcases. Like, yeah, they're trying to sell you on all their games.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Nihilistic, but like, look, we're seeing new people's art, what projects they're working
cool
on.
Hype trailer.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff to look forward to, which I think is really important in our day and age. So at first we were going to go through every announcement and maybe react to each one, but I think in hindsight we'll just pick out our first couple. Of course you can rewatch, or our favorite couple. Of course you can rewatch the state of play on YouTube or wherever it's streaming. You can get all the recaps. But this was pretty packed. I think they said 20 minutes or something, but it went on for like half an hour, which is
they awesome. Said around 30 minutes, but 20 plus games is what the wording is. Yeah, they said both numbers when they announced it. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we pick out our first few? I got a list of it in order here. But Jordan, do you have one that sticks out to you?
I mean, just continuing the thread, of course, they kicked off the showcase with the announcement of Astro Bot DLC. So 5 new online speedrun levels, 10 new bots coming to Astro Bot, releasing fall 2024, which is funny because I saw that fall 2024 and I went, now? You know, like it must be imminent, right? I have to assume October timeframe. Surely, you know, I mean, yeah, you could argue November is fall, but I feel like you get into November, December, you probably would have said holiday 2024. So I think we're probably going to see this release within a month. The 2 sort of bots that they showed off, one was whatever the character's name is in Stellar Blade.
Eve. And I have a funny story with that.
Okay. And then the other one was Helldiver from Helldivers too.
Do they have a name? Yeah, the divers.
And again, great designs. Excited for some speedrun levels because that was one thing that was in Astro's Playroom, the PS5 built in, that wasn't in this one. And I'm also excited to see, I have a feeling they'll implement sort of a leaderboard system where you can, you know, see your friends' speedrun times and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see that as well.
Yeah, that's a good theory. I think maybe the reason why it wasn't available now is because there's actually a couple more features in there that like the speedrun times or being able to compare with friends. One feature I'd really like to see, maybe not this update, but in the future, is racing against your friends like ghosts to see who can get the better speedrun time. I'm not really a speedrun gamer myself, but I do enjoy the challenge sometimes. Going back to Stellar Blade, or Eve from Stellar Blade being one of the next bots. Stellar Blade, my fiance borrowed from the local library where they rent video games.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, and we bought it because we watched a trailer one day and we're like, "There's no way this game is as sexually explicit as it is, right? like this is a joke." And then we rented the game. I think we only played like a night or 2 of it. Oh, we're like, "Oh man, this is too funny," and then we never played it again because it was kind of hard and it's Souls-like. so we have a soft spot for it because it was just so over the top and unapologetically what it is that we're kind of weird fans of it. So we're excited for the Stellar Blade bot.
Weird fans of it, he says. Yeah.
I never beat the game. I think we got to the second world and then was like, yeah, this game's a little too freaky and like I don't know if I want to go back and watch this extremely, I don't know, sexualized woman for the next couple hours. But decent game, just not my style. but we will get that Astro Bot. Yeah, the Astro Bot one's for me. Really excited. Looking forward to that. The Midnight Walk is my next highlight of the show. Midnight Walk, creators of Lost in Random, and it is a game where it is VR, but all the graphics and animations is like claymation. So the folks behind like Wallace and Gromit, Coraline, probably the closest one since it's teeters between horror. Midnight Walk just looks very interesting, and it's available in VR and regular gaming. I don't think I'll play it in VR because I feel like that'd be maybe a little too spooky. But I think I will check this out because it's kind of like a borderline indie game as well with the creators in Lost in Random.
It was one that definitely I mean, you know, I wouldn't watch these things if I wasn't interested in games, you know, as a general rule. I like seeing what's coming out and seeing all the new stuff and everything like that. This was an intriguing one for me, not one that I think I would. I don't know. I'm curious to see more about what the game actually is, because there's something inherently less scary about a platformer versus a first-person shooter or a first-person game, I'll say. But at the same time, that's not to say a platformer can't be scary. You know, Little Nightmares and things like that come to mind where, yeah, those games have a pretty decent sense of dread and you know, an ominous tone to them. So the art style for this one, I was very intrigued by. Very cool looking, but yeah, almost one that made me go, is this too scary for me? Do I want to play this? So
there was a jump scare too that like lingered on in the trailer, but I'm like, ooh, that is weird. Weird enough that I'm interested.
Fair enough.
Sticking into the weird and spooky, for some reason, was it on this podcast a couple of weeks ago? I said being in caves really in video games gives me claustrophobia. It scares me. Anyways, that's the thing.
What context would you have said that in?
I don't know. I feel like I had this conversation in real life probably a couple times for some reason the past couple of weeks. But my pet peeve in games is being in a cave.
Okay,
it's a claustrophobic thing. I'm not claustrophobic in real life, but for some reason, I think being in games like in a cave, I think it's from when I played Pokemon Young and we got into Mount Moon, but I didn't know about using Flash to be able to see. So I literally bumped around in the cave, running into trainers and Pokemon for maybe hours before I got out. Anyways, that's where that's where my video game claustrophobia comes in.
Oh boy!
But scary games, I love them. The next one that I want to highlight is Fear the Spotlight from Blumhouse. Releasing October 23rd. It is a super polygonal PS1 looking kind of horror game. I'm interested in it if the mechanics are like simple, like it is just about staying out of the spotlight, maybe solving a couple puzzles. Like if I get like a cool horror story or experience and that's all that there is mechanically, like I don't want Outlast where you're hiding inside a locker and then hiding under stuff, running in and out of buildings, and it's a big maze. If it's just like stay out of the spotlight, try not to get caught, solve some puzzles, I'm really into that. And Fear the Spotlight is my highlight.
Definitely one that's kind of, you know, again, that one I think does lean into the horror side of things that I'm probably not really going to touch. But one of the more cool projects that I think we learned about must have been Summer Games Fest that we learned about that one, because Blumhouse has this whole sort of incubation thing that they're doing with a bunch of different sort of horror style genre games. So one that we saw back then, but it's looking cool, and I'm very interested in and hopeful that Blumhouse has some success with what they're doing, because it's a neat space, and I think indie games or indie horror is sort of a really good genre to grow kind of thing, because you know, we have obviously the Silent Hills, the Resident Evil is pretty horror-y, and the Outlasts and things like that, Dead by Daylight, these sort of big franchises that are very popular, but it's cool to see them on kind of a smaller level, and hopefully they have some success.
Totally. What's your next highlight, Jordan?
Next one that I'll mention I'm not sure where it fell into the order of things.
We kind of went out of order.
Oh, now that I'm looking at it, it was right before Fear the Spotlight.
Oh.
I'm actually very curious to see Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered.
What?
Yeah. A couple of games that I never touched that I don't think I had ever even heard of until I don't know if I could place it even. I really had, these games were not on my radar at all. And then at some point or another, once I started becoming conscious of the broader gaming development scene and, understanding figureheads like Hideo Kojima and, Shigeru Miyamoto and things like that. On the narrative PlayStation side, you hear about Amy Hennig a lot. And these were games that she had a big part in originally building the story and the lore and things like that behind.
Oh, interesting.
And of course, she was supposed to be tied to, I think she worked at Naughty Dog for a while. I think she had a hand in Uncharted 3. She was supposed to sort of lead Uncharted 4, and then something happened. And
I think she got pulled to do a Star Wars game, and then that fell through.
I don't know if she got pulled to do a Star Wars game, or if, from what I remember, something happened with Sony, and she left Uncharted. I think the rumor was that whoever was in charge of Naughty Dog at the time didn't really like the vision that she had for Uncharted 4. And they kind of tried to change a lot of things. She disagreed with it, so she left. And then I think she got tapped to do the Star Wars game, and then the Star Wars game got unceremoniously sacked as well. And now she is somewhere else. I want to say Annapurna, but Annapurna's not in a great spot right now, so maybe not that. Anyways, point is, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered. I'm very curious to see how they turn out, and I'm hopeful that I will actually dive in and try them out at least, because they're people that are fans of them really like them, and yeah, they're total blind spots in my sort of gaming history, and we may have seen them in Astro Bot. I don't know. Maybe you got to play the game to find out. But yeah, I'm curious to see how they shape up. So,
oh, interesting, because I did not see this coming. And when I saw the game, I was like, I have never seen this game ever.
That's honestly, that's how I feel too. Even I wouldn't even go as far as to say I recognize the characters, but I know the name because they're, people that are fans are ravenous about these games.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I've always kind of wanted to go back and play them, and I don't think there's been another remaster or, other than just playing it on PS1. I don't know that there was ever a way to play them again. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll have to check it out, keep my eye on it. If it's as good as people say, right away though, the setting doesn't call to me, but I am a gameplay over graphics guy anyway, so if it is really good, I'll definitely check it out. Quick anecdote about Amy Hennig, most recently writing 1943 Rise of Hydra, the next Marvel game with Black Panther and Captain America. So so she's still up there.
And that's under
big stuff.
Is that EA?
Skydance New Media.
Skydance.
Publisher
PlayOn?
Yes. PlayOn? Those guys.
Yeah. PlayOn, whatever it is. Yeah, sorry, that's where it is, not Annapurna. She's over there. Skydance.
Skydance.
Is Skydance the one that took over the Walking Dead series after Telltale folded? Anyways, doesn't matter. But
not sure.
Yeah.
TBD. We'll see.
Yeah.
My next highlight.
I have one more if you want me to bring it up. It'll be relatively quick, but you can take a look at the list and see if anything stands out to you. Yeah. Again, not anything super exciting, but as we've talked about before, we did a whole episode dedicated to controllers. And of course, they announced the PlayStation 5 Chroma Collection, which is not just controllers. It is also faceplates for the console itself in 3 different colors. I forget what they are. One's like an emerald kind of teal color.
Yeah,
one's
there's a white one.
There's like a pearl white one, and then there's a bluey one, a chrome kind of blue. And if I'm being real, if I could just have every single color of every controller, I would be happy. The only ones I've never been crazy about are the camo style controllers, which there are certain camos that I actually really like. I like a good urban camo, or I think they call it tech camo, where it's like blacks and grays. And I also like a good aqua camo where it's blues and navies and that kind of thing.
Yes.
Other than that, never really dabbled in the camos. But man, the shiny metallic not camos, chrome colors.
Chroma.
Yes.
Chroma. So I got the article here from The Verge, written
Hit
by
me.
Emma Roth. Sony is launching shiny new Chroma console covers for the PS5 Slim that come in pearl, indigo, and teal.
There it is. Indigo and teal.
Yeah, pearl, indigo, and teal. And pearl is the white one, indigo's the purplish one, and teal's the teal one.
Yeah. But
awesome.
yeah,
they look good. They look good.
If I could, man, every color. Hit me with every color. I love them. So
I feel like they're only making these for the PlayStation 5 Slim, though. I don't know if they're making them for...
No, I know. They did.
Ones.
Yeah, the faceplates look like... They haven't shown any, base model PS5 faceplates in those colors. Controllers, of course, will work with any, and that's all I really care about. I don't know that I would ever change the faceplates on my PS5. Like, the thing is just so big. I don't know that it would look good. It looks good in the other colors. I don't know if it would look that good on my bookshelf with colors other than black or white. And so, of course, I just leave it as white. But
true.
Controllers.
Yeah.
Give
I like the
them
white.
all.
I like how it's bold.
Yeah.
Bold by being white.
Yep.
All right. I remembered my next thing, and then I think the big one we'll talk about.
Yes.
My next one is actually Lego Horizon Adventures.
Oh, I almost mentioned this.
Yeah, Horizon is a game that I bought a PS4 Pro for.
Oh.
But when Horizon came out, Zelda also came out.
Yes, it did.
And I never got around to playing.
Oh, you fell into
Horizon.
the curse.
I was, like I liked it. I like the concept of the Switch more.
Sure.
But I have had every opportunity to play Horizon, and I still haven't. And I have another opportunity with the remaster coming out, or the remastered version, and it looks great and even better on PS5. But I heard that the Lego version is just the first game, or at least the story, but retold in a more kid-friendly, fun way, condensed. Yeah. So that kind of that sells me a lot more than playing because I'll play Zero Dawn and then I'll have to play Forbidden West, which I'm not opposed to, but that's a lot of open world games back to back, and
it is.
I'll see how I feel about that when the time comes.
Yeah.
But Lego version, maybe I'll play with a buddy who's really into the Lego games. I have a buddy like that, and maybe we'll just do it. And ironically, he's a really big Horizon fan too. He's played
nice
games, so it's like
nice.
Yeah, maybe he'll be able to tell me. Yeah,
absolutely.
Going on to our last announcement. Also, the last announcement of the show is Ghost of Yotei, sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, announced for next year. And that is crazy.
What a mic drop moment this was.
Yeah.
I did not expect anything on this level. I know people had speculated, will we see something from Ghost and everything? And I really just thought, they've mentioned whatever it is, 20 plus games in 30 minutes. Like, it's going to be, less than 2 minutes per game. I was like, there's no way we get a big announcement, because if they did that, they would want to focus on it. But to stack it finish off your show with it and really just, I don't know, this elevated the entire thing. Yeah. From, a good showcase. Like, I thought it was good because we saw lots of games, but this, like, topping it off with that was like, oh man, they couldn't have asked for a better way to end the show.
Heck yeah. And it came out later that Erika Ishii is the voice actor for the Ghost of Yotei. I don't think we know the name of the character yet or anything like that.
We do. It starts with an A. I think it's
If you
Atsu.
can find that.
I think it's spelled Atsu. Yeah.
Or Atsu. Yeah. Okay. So Atsu, Ghost of Yotei. I'm a big fan of Erika Ishii. Like,
oh yeah,
I watched their stuff on Dropout all the time.
Nice.
And I think I knew them from Smosh, and then they went to Dropout, and now, Ghost of Yotei is crazy. So really excited for that. And they were Valkyrie in Apex Legends too. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So they are getting really cool projects. And Ghost of Tsushima, I have a fun story of. I bought the game before PS5 was a thing. I bought the game, played about a quarter to a half of it, and then kind of fell off because I kind of saw the loop of the open world and I wasn't in the mood for that. But then I gave it to one of the youth I was working with, and this youth, so for those who don't know, I also am a youth worker on the side. This youth doesn't go to school, At the time, didn't go to school, struggled academically, that kind of stuff. But I gave him Ghost of Tsushima, and I told him, you have to write me a review. Write in paragraph form, and then after you write it, we can edit it together. So he played the game, wrote me a review, and the review was really well done. I was like, oh, this is the most writing I've ever read from you. Sure, some grammar, some spelling mistakes there, but that's stuff we can work on. But I was convinced to replay the game after reading his review. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that you saw this and that. So I played through. I still have yet to see the ending. It's been a couple of years, so maybe I'll just do a new playthrough. But I played more of the game because of that review, and then I was surprised it hit two different demographics. And yeah, beautiful game, all the things we're expecting. I'm just looking forward to a cool new story that takes place on mainland Japan this time. And hopefully, when I go to Japan, I'll do a photo mode in the same spots.
Yeah. That's really cool about that story, actually. I love Ghost of Tsushima. It's actually interesting because for whatever reason, I know I've talked about before being a big Sly Cooper fan. Of course, Sucker Punch is the studio behind this. They made Sly Cooper, they made the Infamous series, and then they made Ghost. And after Sly Cooper, I played all three of those games, loved them, got them all, whatever, with the exception of the first one because that was my intro. Got the other ones as soon as they came out. For whatever reason, every other Sucker Punch game after that, every Infamous and Ghost, I was like a late comer to them. I saw them announced, and just they didn't really click with me upon being revealed. And then reviews of them always turn out good, and I'm always like, oh, cool, but I just don't feel a huge pull to them. And then I play every single one, and I fall in love with every single one of them.
Heck yeah.
I love the Infamous series. I love Ghost. Sucker Punch is probably one of my favorite developers. And yeah, it's almost hard for me to put into words how much I love Ghost. I see the criticisms that other people have about, the open world being repetitive, about, you're just chasing a fox every 5 minutes or whatever. You're doing the same things over and over again. But there's just something about that world that they built and the way they executed it all. And it really isn't a game about action, action, action. It's a game about being in that place at that time and taking in the whole world. And kind of some of the stuff that they did to immerse you in the game a little more, something on a pretty basic level. If you don't know where to go next, or where your next, main story path, whatever goal is, I forget what it is. I think you push a button or something, but it's actually a breeze that comes in on the wind and guides you in the direction that you need to go. Just little touches like that really made me appreciate being in this world. And obviously, other games have done similar things. I know there's a good example of that is in the Dead Space games. Your ammo and your health is actually on the back of your character's suit. And you can kind of see it in the game there. Now, I've never played Dead Space, but those kind of things never really clicked with me, because to me, it's still here's a health bar. But in Ghost, just the systems that they have and everything just felt so, we talked about it earlier with Astro Bot, but so cohesive and really immersive. And I really appreciate that. One of the few games that has made me want to get a tattoo of something from the game. I would, I hate to be a white boy culturally appropriating, Japanese mythology and things like that, but I would love to get Jin Sakai's mask or one of his katanas or something like that. Just such beautiful work that Sucker Punch really did with this game.
It's art, right?
Absolutely.
It's art in its truest form. You can argue lots of different things are art, but this one visually in its rawest and most natural form is you're watching a painting,
totally,
or you're playing a painting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can totally see the annoyances of the chasing the fox and the wind and all that. I think what differentiates that, and this is not a new opinion, I definitely heard this from somewhere else, but that differentiates that to an Assassin's Creed or Ubisoft open world game is it's icons versus the world of the game changing to guide the player. And I think that's obviously harder to do. It's easy. It's easier to just throw an icon on a mini map. But having the world change to what the player is doing plus putting it in a way that makes sense with the story and the world building is something that's trickier, and it was done really well in Ghost of Tsushima, and I think everyone's excited to see like how else they can iterate on that kind of concept or art in Yotei. So,
yeah, definitely
looking forward to that. Hopefully that actually comes out next year, because I feel like that's a game that could easily get delayed.
when did Ghost come out? I guess I should say Tsushima come out.
2019, 2020.
Oh, they got lots. They've been working on that lots of time. They'll hit 2025. Definitely.
Fair enough. As we end our show, as I promised at the beginning, we have a special announcement. And do you think the viewers and listeners are ready, Jordan?
I think they're so ready. They're on the edge of their seat.
It's the biggest news in the world.
That's right.
My announcement is that I am getting married next week.
Hooray.
Me. And not to Jordan, with my fiance, which I have mentioned a couple times today.
Oddly enough, when you said that, I did feel a little bit like, is the audience going to think it's me? But yeah, I'm glad we were on the same wavelength there. Yeah.
Just to be clear. Yeah, I'm getting married, so I'll be busy with all that. So for the next week, and actually we're going to give ourselves some time, maybe give Jordan and I a little break. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to be taking a little break from doing our weekly podcast. We just got a good rhythm going. I feel like this is our 10th episode, or 9th or 10th episode,
I believe. Yes.
So we are on a roll, but life happens, and I am getting married. So next 2 weeks, no new episodes. Maybe we'll upload something in between, depending on how busy we are. I don't know if Jordan, you've got something cooking in the noggin there. If you got this far, leave a comment saying, "Congratulations, Samson," and then I would really appreciate that, and I will see that. But in 2 weeks from now, what is that date? What is that exact date? October 11th. I think we will plan to do like a big, long blowout episode. What have I been playing on my time off?
Sure, yeah.
Has Jordan gotten... or has the Astro Bot update come out and Jordan gotten all the bots? We'll do a big long catch-up episode of Grow Up, Level Up Gamers Club. Thank you so much for watching or listening. I hope that you enjoyed our review of Astro Bot. I hope that you enjoyed our State of Play highlights. Do you share any of your State of Play highlights with us? Put it in the comments below. Or do you have any other thoughts about Astro Bot? Did you hate it? I don't know. Hopefully not, because we really like it. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all in a couple weeks. Jordan, close us out with a saying.
They aim to misbehave.
Love it. See you, everybody.